Welcome to Hardly. Each book is distilled into 3 stories, giving you the key ideas in minutes. Today, we listen to Patrick Alley's Terrible Humans, in which we probe into the hidden networks of global corruption and exploitation that fuel war and destruction, the brave individuals and organizations who challenge powerful entities despite overwhelming odds, the complex intersections between greed, power, and the human toll in the pursuit of profit. Patrick Alley is one of the 3 founders of Global Witness. Don't go away, Hurdley, the editor, will be right back with the story. The first story takes us to a small, nondescript building in a war-torn area, where a local investigator named Nadia faced a grave danger. She had been documenting illegal mining operations by a powerful multinational corporation that was pillaging her country's natural resources. The company was not only exploiting the land, but also funding local warlords, creating a cycle of violence and devastation. Nadia's mission was clear: collect evidence, expose the truth, and somehow survive long enough to make a difference. Her tireless pursuit uncovered secret deals between the corporation and corrupt government officials, an alliance that fueled both profit and war. "We've chosen to put profits before people, money before morality," Nadia recalled from one of her sources. The truth was harrowing. The corporation had partnered with ruthless local leaders, providing them with weapons in exchange for mining rights. Entire villages were displaced, the land scarred by endless extraction, and lives were lost in senseless violence. Nadia's work exposed these crimes to the world, but the danger to her life intensified. Her bravery showed that corruption isn't an isolated act. It's a global system of exploitation where greed trumps humanity. Nadia's journey teaches us that standing up to corruption demands resilience. Her approach? Shine a light on dark corners, arm yourself with facts, and never stop pushing for justice, even when the system seems impenetrable. This leads us to the next tale, where another brave soul decides to challenge these systems, not with evidence, but with his own life. In the second story, a former mercenary named Victor made the rare choice to switch sides. After years of fighting for corrupt regimes and criminal enterprises, he couldn't ignore the human cost any longer. Working for a Russian-backed militia in a resource-rich African nation, Victor witnessed firsthand the ruthless exploitation of natural resources to fund wars and line the pockets of foreign corporations. He had always justified his involvement, telling himself it was just a job. But one day, the sight of a destroyed village and the cries of orphaned children shattered his detachment. "This isn't just business anymore," he whispered to himself, knowing he was too deep in the system to easily escape. Victor's dilemma was not unique. The militia he worked for had been contracted by an international oil company to secure the land, which really meant terrorizing locals into submission so the company could operate without interference. When he finally decided to defect and expose what he had been a part of, Victor risked everything: his career, his safety, and his life. With the help of an investigative journalist, he handed over crucial documents that linked the company to war crimes, creating international outrage. Victor's decision shows us that personal change is possible, even in the darkest environments. His key lesson? Recognize your power to disrupt systems from the inside. It's never too late to shift the narrative. His story connects to the next, where the war between truth and corruption hits even closer to home for an organization trying to do good. The third story takes us to the headquarters of a small but influential non-profit organization that had been investigating environmental abuses. They uncovered that the very government they relied on for funding was secretly undermining their efforts. It started innocently enough. The organization, run by a small team of passionate individuals, had been gaining traction in exposing illegal deforestation in a remote region. However, as their findings began to implicate high-level officials, they noticed that their own access to resources and funding was mysteriously being cut. The organization's leader, Paul, quickly realized the depth of the betrayal. "We were being used as a front," he later reflected. They wanted us to look like we were fighting for change, but in reality, they were pulling the strings. Paul and his team found themselves in a precarious situation. If they continued their work, they risked having their non-profit shut down entirely. But if they stopped, the deforestation would continue, accelerating the destruction of indigenous lands. The turning point came when Paul discovered a government memo detailing plans to publicly denounce the organization and seize its assets under false pretenses of corruption. Facing this existential threat, Paul decided to go public with the memo, risking everything to protect the integrity of their mission. The fallout was swift, but their transparency earned them public support, and they were able to continue their work, albeit under more difficult circumstances. The lesson here? Transparency and public accountability can be powerful tools against systemic corruption, but they require immense courage to wield effectively. This segues into the broader truth that global corruption is not just about one entity, but a web of interconnected interests. Each of these stories reveals the hidden machinery of exploitation, and each offers a different way to challenge it. When we connect these stories, a pattern emerges. Whether it's individuals standing against corporations, mercenaries seeking redemption, or non-profits fighting their own governments, the common thread is the persistence of truth. Corruption is entrenched because of the complex relationships between power, profit, and silence. But as these stories show, disruption is always possible. As the editor of Hardly, I believe these stories demonstrate that we must be vigilant and proactive. Through learning from these, we can build a future where individual courage, transparency, and resilience become the foundation for a more ethical and equitable global system. Each story comes from the most representative real-life cases selected by the Hardly team from this book. With 8 more worth reading, you will find a wealth of valuable stories in this book. If you wish to dive deeper, we recommend purchasing the full book. In Terrible Humans, the key themes of global corruption, individual courage, and the complex relationship between power and profit are brought to life through unforgettable stories. Each narrative reveals the devastating effects of greed and exploitation while showcasing the resilience of those who stand against it. One story that particularly stands out involves a journalist named Anna, who infiltrated a corrupt government's secret meetings with an international arms dealer. The government was funneling money from environmental aid programs to purchase military weapons. Anna, working undercover, documented the backdoor deals, including one where arms were exchanged for logging rights in a protected rainforest. They didn't even bother hiding their disdain for the people they were supposed to protect, she later reported. When Anna's findings were published, the scandal shocked the international community, leading to sanctions and the halting of further arms deals. Her bravery not only exposed corruption, but also saved the rainforest from immediate destruction. Anna's story reinforces that individuals, even when facing overwhelming odds, can make a profound impact by confronting corruption head-on. Like the other stories in this book, it highlights how one person's courage can ripple out to create broader change. These tales of resistance teach us that the fight against global corruption is difficult, but not impossible. We are reminded that, in standing up for truth, we can all play a part in disrupting the systems that allow exploitation to thrive. Each story offers a lesson in persistence and bravery, demonstrating that change begins with individual action.